A Virginia farmer has been elected the National Ruritan President. Dennis Clemmer is a beef farmer in Middlebrook and is also the Ruritan National President. Dennis, welcome to Virginia Farming.
Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and first of all, congratulations on your election.
Well, thank you.
That's wonderful coming from Virginia, so we're very proud of you.
Well, I appreciate that.
For our viewers who may not be familiar with what the Ruritan organization is, can you give us some background on the club?
Well, Ruritan started 85 years ago in a little small town called Holland, Virginia. And Holland is now part of Suffolk, down in the peanut and corn growing part in the southeastern part of the state. There were some problems there between the town folks and the farmers, and with the problems they were having, we had a couple ag teachers who decided that they thought that these people need to get together and solve their problems in a nice way. So they got together one night at a hotel and they had a meeting, and they decided to work out their differences, and they became the first Ruritan club in the country. And we just celebrated that 2 weeks ago, 85th year of Ruritan at the Holland Club, and it was quite a nice event. I was fortunate enough to lay a wreath with the president of the club at the monument at the beginning of Ruritan, had a nice parade and a nice banquet, and that's how it got started. And of course, nobody knew that it was going to grow into a national organization and take off with a bang. It took a few years. It got a few neighborhoods beside them, started having clubs. And now today we're in 26 states. We're as far west as Nebraska and Colorado and Iowa. And we have, as of yesterday, 29,418 members in over 1,000 clubs. And it's amazing that the work that has been done since 85 years ago, the inception, people have worked together through fellowship, goodwill, and the community service that these clubs do to bring their communities closer together and to solve the problems in each community.
Right, and that kind of brings me to my next question. So there's different clubs throughout the state, throughout the country.
Right.
But what do these clubs do individually? Because they do focus on a lot of the rural areas.
Each individual club is responsible for its community and the needs of its community. And if they see there's a need in their community, they're responsible to take care of the need. That's where we're a lot different than anybody else. And of course, we're a national organization, not an international organization. So all the money that the club makes is then in turn put back into that community to help solve the problems. I had the opportunity a few years ago to visit a club in West Virginia, and I asked this old gentleman, why in the world did you become a member of this club? And he said, we didn't have any telephones back here. And I joined this club, and the first thing you know, we got together and we had telephone service. He said there's places didn't have electricity, and because of Ruritan, they now had electricity. He said this was an era where Ruritan really done a lot of good, but now the focus is a little different because everybody has the basics. But nowadays we have to focus in on other needs in the community. We give a lot of scholarships away to a lot of kids that are going off to school. We help a lot of people who are sick, and we help pay doctor bills. We help, if a family gets burned out, of course, we try to help them get back on their feet. And probably the first person in a rural area that somebody sees after a fire would probably be a Ruritan member bringing them a check so that they can survive until everything gets started with insurance and that sort of thing. So it's amazing the work they do. The blood drives are phenomenal. We're just involved in just about every aspect of life there is out in a rural community.
Well, it's a wonderful organization, and I grew up around it my whole life. and we were expected to help as youngsters, and I know that the West Rockingham Club here in Rockingham County, they've even started a high school, a young teen program.
Right, Ruritan. Right.
And the Ruritan. And I think that's amazing. It gives these kids a self of community service and the taste of what a civic organization is really all about. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of our kids are missing out on that today.
I agree with you wholeheartedly that children do not have the opportunities probably that I had growing up in a rural community. Back when I grew up, everybody was a part of everything. And today, it's not quite like that. So we have to give them the opportunity to serve. And even though if they do not grow up to be a Ruritan member and they go off to school, hopefully they come home, they'll rejoin the Ruritans. But if not, maybe they'll belong to another good civic organization that will do good in their community.
Exactly. Well, I wanted to bring up the point that you were the first national president elected from Virginia since 1969.
No, in the Valley.
In the Valley. Okay.
Here in the Valley.
Since 1969.
Right.
That's still quite an honor. Tell us about your role. What is your role as national president?
I stay real busy lately writing articles for publications that Ruritan puts out and the magazine, and every month I try to send out something to our zone governors. We're set up kind of like the American government, you might say. We have our clubs, and then we have zones, then we have districts, and then the districts make up Ruritan National. So we have different levels, and in each one of these levels we have officers. So it keeps me rather busy keeping up with the publications that need to go out.
I would imagine.
But
you've got a lot of members and a lot of places across the country to take
true.
care of.
Yeah. Well, you know, with 1,000 clubs and 29,414 members, it's a great responsibility. But the nice part about it is this organization is pretty self-sufficient. The people that are in the organization, in the clubs, are real self-sufficient
right.
people.
The individual clubs seem to run themselves very
real well. And of course, we have training available, and we're just getting ready for our summer leadership conference at the College of Dublin, Virginia. For the lieutenant governors from all over the country will be there, and we're getting ready for that. But actually, I guess what I really do is I'm sort of the face of Ruritan at the moment. And I go to different areas, different things that are going on that they want Ruritan represented. And you can't make them all. You do what you can do when you can. You can't do it all. I've been going to some anniversaries, and it's amazing to go to anniversaries where these clubs are 50, 60, 75 years old and hear of all the accomplishments that they've made in their communities. I would dare say what the tax base would be in a lot of counties without Ruritan. Just for instance, in Rockingham County here in Augusta County, where I come from, is just county south of Rockingham, we have a great conglomerate of clubs here, probably more so than probably any place you'll find in the country. Those two counties probably have 50, 60 clubs in the two counties. Every community seems to have one, with ball fields being operated all the time, chicken barbecues, something going on. You can go somewhere every weekend and get a good meal for a little bit of nothing, where people are raising money to help somebody.
Exactly. And they do so much for our communities. I think it's a great program. But the one thing I wanted to ask you is that farmers are really busy people, and this organization was started with in mind of having 1/3 farmers, 1/3 business professionals, and 1/3, say, blue-collar workers,
right,
to bring everybody in the community together. But farmers do not have the luxury of having a 9-to-5 job.
True.
What do you say to farmers to get them involved in Ruritan? How can they do it?
Well, over the years, I've been fortunate enough to probably bring in 70-some members into the organization. And the first thing I hear is, I don't have time. And, you know, I agree with them. They don't have time. I didn't have time. But you make time. The good Lord only gives us 24 hours a day. But we have to learn how to multitask. We have to learn how to take the time that we have and use it to the best of our ability. And I don't know of a greater organization that we can take our time and serve our communities than we can in Ruritan. And once I usually explain that to these folks, they usually sign up, because then they realize that we don't want people that have all the time in the world. We only want the best people. We want the people who know what to do and to get the job done, and doesn't take all day to do it.
It's a really great organization, and I congratulate you again, and really glad that you could join us today, and wish you best of luck in everything that you have to do for this year. I know you're going to be busy.
Well, I asked for it, I got it. Right?
That's right, absolutely. You sure did. Thank you so much, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.